Y'all know I'm a yapper, so I promise I'm gonna try my hardest to make this as concise as possible because I'm gonna be tier ranking all of the books that I read in 2025. So that's 60 plus books, but we'll see what happens. Grab a drink, I just have some water here so I don't get parched, and let's get right into it. Hey y'all, welcome to, or welcome back to my channel, Scotty Cherie Reads. So this should be my last end of year wrap up for 2025. If you haven't seen, I'll have linked below and above my previous 3 videos, which were the top 12 books of the year, my worst and most disappointing books, and my 2025 book awards, or like superlatives, which is the most fun video for me to film each year. So, like I said, we're not going to dilly-dally too much. I read a total of 67 books this year. However, on this tier ranking list, I'm only going to have 61 because I started the year by reading through the Wayward Children series. And because I have a full video that I rank all 10 of the books, I don't want to go into it because I read part of this series at the end of 2024 and then finished it in 2025. So I'm just going to leave the Wayward Children books off. I'm going to have the vlog linked above if you're interested in what my ranking is for that whole series. So we're just going to jump into the first book I read after the Wayward Children series, and let's make sure I have my computer all set up, and I'll be right back to go into the ranking. I am mildly intimidated because this is my first time doing this Tier Master website, but I think I'm good to go. I have my screen recording now, and I'm gonna move myself down to the corner, and we should be good. So, going into my 5 different tiers, we have, as you can see here, the very top are all-time favorites, self-explanatory. This is all-time, not just 2025 favorites, but you know, they're gonna be favorites for me for the rest of my life. Then we have fantastic books, which aren't quite all-time favorites, but still very good books that I definitely suggest people to read. The third category is a good time, but not memorable. So just kind of 3-star reads, you know, they were fine, but nothing to write home about. The fourth tier is wouldn't recommend, and I'll give my reasons of why I wouldn't recommend, or maybe who I would recommend it to. But overall, for the general populace, I probably wouldn't recommend this book. And the last tier is just flat out terrible. I have 61 books here, like I said, aside from the Wayward Children series, and they are ranked or listed in order of how I read them throughout the year. So, let's get into the first book, which was very exciting because it was my first ARC that I've ever gotten, and that is The In-Between Bookstore by Edward Underhill. I'm not going to go into big synopsis about all of these books because we'd be here forever, but basically we follow a trans man who has this magical element of this bookstore where he's transported back to his hometown in high school but like before he transitioned, and that's kind of where the premise of this story goes. I had a good time with this. I'm gonna put it in a good time, but not super memorable. I think it was great when I read it. If that premise sounds interesting, I would say go for it. But, you know, this was one of the first books I've read this year, and I can remember like my overall feeling of it, but not specifics of the plot. The writing was nice, but nothing too crazy, just an average read. Next up, we have No Exit. And if you watched my worst and most disappointing books video, then you will not be surprised that this is going into terrible. Yeah, this is a very popular thriller that I say just skip it. Just skip it. Next up, we have Beartown by Frederick Bachman. I only read the first book in this series. I don't know why I didn't continue because, spoiler, Beartown, I think for right now I'm gonna put it in fantastic books. I did give it 5 stars, but I'm thinking of picking up the second book in the trilogy soon, and I'm kind of at the point where I think I need to reread Beartown. So, because I can't remember all of the specific details and just remember that it was an emotional ride for me, I feel like I can't put it in all-time favorites quite yet. Maybe we'll check it out if I reread it this year and the tier ranking for 2026. But yeah, fantastic. Fantastic book about a team in Beartown, which I believe is in Sweden, a hockey team. They are far into the tournament. There's not much that goes on in this town, so everyone is really rooting for this hockey team. But then a tragic event happens to a girl in this town, and the hockey team is affiliated. And yeah, it just kind of goes from there. Next up, we have The Trees by Percival Everett. And this is definitely an all-time favorites. Even though I didn't give this book a complete 5 stars because I think that the twist at the end was drug out a little bit. I think it was kind of obvious once we got to a certain point, but then they tried to divert, but I don't know. I think it could have been wrapped up a little cleaner, but the way Percival Everett writes, it's fantastic. This book is about a body that shows up at murder scenes that they're not expecting that looks like Emmett Till, and this is happening throughout the nation, and people are just kind of wondering what the hell is going on. Next up, we have Rest Stop by Nat Cassidy. So I read When the Wolf Comes Home, which you can see down here, and I like that book so much that I kind of forgot that I read the short novella earlier in the year, and I had a good time with it, but I'm gonna say it wasn't super memorable. It's a trapped, closed door, like rest stop horror situation where, you know, someone's stopping at a rest stop, they get trapped inside and weird things happen. It was creepy when I read it. I remember being weirded out about an eyeball scene, but overall it wasn't super memorable like When the Wolf Comes Home. So I'm gonna put it in the middle tier there. But I'm gonna put it before the In-Between Bookstore because I did like it a bit more. So I am gonna have each section ranked in order as well. So the one that's closest to the title is going to be number 1 or closest to be into fantastic books, if that makes sense. Recitative, that is going into all-time favorites. It is a race study that Toni Morrison did. And yeah, Toni Morrison is, I think, my absolute favorite author. If you haven't read it, pick it up. It's only like 50 pages. And let's talk in the comments. It's such a good novella or short story. Next up, I'm sad about. I have Full Disclosure by Cameron Garrett. And this book is about a high schooler who has AIDS. And that sounds like so moving. And I remember like liking it when I read it, but it has been wiped from my brain. So unfortunately, I'm gonna put a good time, but not memorable, even though, I mean, it's not really a good time. It's a sad story, obviously. But I don't know. I feel like maybe I should read this at another time. I don't know if I read it too quickly and just moved on to the next thing, but yeah, I'm gonna put it in a good time, but not memorable. Same thing with the next book here, Family Meal by Brian Washington. I read this for a book club, and I don't know, it's a queer black male love story, coming of age story. There's some grief in there, but like I said, a good time. Honestly, I think I'm gonna put this in wouldn't recommend, to be honest. I remember the writing being a bit hard to follow, and it just felt a little slow for me. I think that there are other black queer authors who do this type of thing a little bit better, but we'll see. I'm still gonna give Brian Washington another chance. I'm not finished with his works, but that I just wouldn't recommend. I think I want to read Memorial, I think I've heard is a good book from him, but yeah, unfortunately, I'll leave it there. I don't really remember very much of it. Next up, we have This Could Be Us by Kennedy Ryan, and I'm going to put this an all-time favorite. Actually, I said I was going to rank these, but okay, The Trees needs to go back here. Yeah, that order looks good to me. This Could Be Us is the second book in the Skyland series, which is a black romance series that I fell in love with last year, or in 2024 when I read Before I Let Go. The second one follows one of the other girls in the trilogy, and there's kind of this like thriller aspect to this one, but yeah, I like the second one a lot, 5 stars. We'll get into the third one in a bit. Then I picked up and read all of the Hunger Games. I reread the trilogy, and then I picked up The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes for the first time in anticipation for Sunrise and the Reaping. So the first Hunger Games, all-time favorite. That's gonna go right under Recitative. Classic, everyone knows the story of the Hunger Games. I think it's fantastic. Quickly in between The Hunger Games and Catching Fire, I read RuPaul's memoir, The House of Hidden Meanings. He had a book release here in Phoenix that I went to, so I quickly listened to the audiobook, and it was a good time, but not super memorable. I'm gonna put it at the end here. I remember really enjoying learning about him growing up, but then like kind of once he got married and started becoming famous, the memoir ended. So I wish that there was a little bit more into his life after he became famous. Maybe he chose that not to write about that for a reason, but anyway, it was just fine. Nothing to write home about, but it was really cool to see him live, and he's just as charismatic as you would imagine. All right, now going back to the Hunger Games trilogy with Catching Fire. I feel like this is an unpopular opinion because I think a lot of people like Catching Fire is their favorite book in the whole series, but I'm gonna put it in fantastic books. There are others in the series that I liked a lot more. I mean, it's still like a 4.5 star. It's great, but just not my all-time favorite. Mockingjay, which is the end of the original trilogy. I'm gonna put that down in fantastic books underneath Catching Fire. So I liked Hunger Games, then Catching Fire, then Mockingjay, and it started really, really strong and dwindled a little bit for me. I think the ending of Mockingjay, I didn't care for too much. There was just a lot going on, but that's my ranking. So next up, I read The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes for the first time, and I'm gonna put this in a good time, but not memorable, but close to wouldn't recommend. This one wasn't my favorite. I think it's my least favorite, and for all five. But I think it is still important to know some of the history of President Snow. I have beef with the movie too for the way they casted it, where people are like, falling in love with President Snow's young actor, when in reality, President Snow is a despicable human being. And I think that's why some people really like The Ballads of Songbirds and Snakes, because of the actor who played President Snow. It's just all complicated, but I mean, it's fine. It was an average, like 3.5 star read for me. It's a long one as well, so I would say just kind of put the audiobook on and listen to it before going into Sunrise on the Reaping. And I'm actually just gonna jump ahead and finish this trilogy or this series out and put Sunrise on the Reaping up top, because Sunrise on the Reaping was so good. I don't think anything can really beat the Hunger Games originally, but Sunrise on the Reaping became my second favorite in the series. It's Hamish's story, fantastic, all worth the hype. Pick it up if you haven't. Okay, enough of the Hunger Games. Now we're gonna go into The Eyes Are the Best Part by Monica Kim. This is her debut. This is gonna go into fantastic. This is a story of an Asian American girl who becomes fascinated with blue eyeballs. And we're just gonna talk about that, or just leave it at that. It was really good. Like I said, we're not gonna go into the synopsis of all of these, but fantastic debut. I can't wait to see what else Monica Kim puts out. Next up was a shocker. I read this for book club, my local book club this year, which is She's Always Hungry by Eliza Clark. This is my first Eliza Clark, and it's a short story collection, and this is gonna go into all-time favorites. Yeah, I think it can stay where it's at there. But yeah, there are plenty in here that are 5-star reads for me. It was great. Next up, we have Girl Interrupted by Susanna Kaysen, which is a memoir. Susanna Kaysen's experience of being in like psychiatric hospital. And unfortunately, I'm putting this into terrible. I'm gonna put it underneath No Exit, but it just wasn't done well in my opinion, and I think that you should just watch the movie. It's more entertaining. Sorry to her. All right, next up, we have Bloom by Delilah S. Dawson, a horror story about two women who are very infatuated with each other. The prose in this book was one of my favorites of the year, and this is gonna go into all-time favorite. And this is gonna go right under Sunrise on the Reaping. It was great. Go into it fairly blind if you're intrigued with it. It's pretty heavy. Next up, we have our second Nat Cassidy, who is quickly becoming one of my favorite authors, and that is When the Wolf Comes Home. Adventure story. I know it seems like it's a werewolf story, and there are elements of it, but not in the way that you would expect. Very unique premise, super fun, couldn't put it down. This is gonna be an all-time favorite for me, and it's gonna go right underneath The Trees. Next up, we have Strange Pictures by Uketsu. There's basically these little drawings that you can see on there, and it's a mystery thriller where these weird pictures have hidden meanings, basically, and you're trying to figure out what the drawings mean, and then eventually it wraps up the story. I think there's 4 different stories in this book, but it was cool. It was really fun while you're reading it, but then once the story is over, then you're not really thinking about it anymore. So I would say a good time, but not memorable, but I'm gonna put it all the way in the front. Almost to a fantastic books, because if you're intrigued with it, I definitely would say to pick it up. You can read it in a day. It's very fun in the moment, but it's just not gonna stay with you forever, in my opinion. Oh, I have Sky Full of Elephants here by Sibo Campbell, and that is like the only book that I DNF'd. I don't know if it was a time in my life that wasn't intriguing to me, but I just thought that it was taking forever to get into this book, and the writing was just okay. I think the premise of it being America and all of a sudden all of the white people just disappear and it's all minorities is such a fantastic and like clever idea that I haven't seen before, but the execution just wasn't great. I mean, I'm just gonna put it in wouldn't recommend for now. I wouldn't say terrible because I didn't finish it, but I don't know. If you read it and you think you can convince me to continue it, let me know in the comments. Or if you're just like me and you're like, yeah, it didn't hit as well as you thought it was going to, let me know as well. I don't know. Right now, I think I'm just going to leave it DNF'd and pick up the next novel that Sibo Campbell comes out with, but yeah, that's it. I'm reading Stephen King in chronological order. I didn't get as far as our publication order. I didn't get as far as I would have liked to last year, but 2026 is going to be the year of King. And I did read Salem's Lot, and I'm going to put it in a good time, but not memorable. And I'm going to put it right underneath Rest Stop. It's a classic vampire story. I think it was very long, and we meet so many characters in this town that it became a little overwhelming. Not in the sense that you couldn't keep up with who each person was, it was just you didn't care about all of these 15 characters, so it just felt a little flat for me. Next up was one of my biggest disappointments, which is The Unworthy by Augustina Basterica. Her debut, well, I don't know if it was her debut, but I read, like, new to me was Tender as a Flesh, and it's one of my favorite books, like all-time favorites. And The Unworthy is about a coven, and it's really short, it's under 200 pages, and I just wouldn't recommend it, unfortunately. I'm gonna put it at the front. It was boring. I couldn't tell you anything else about it, and I don't know how you made a nun convent cult story that boring, but yeah, just read Tender as a Flesh and skip The Unworthy, to be honest. Oh, okay. Can't Get Enough by Kennedy Ryan, the final book in the trilogy, the Skyland series. Do you guys know I have a whole rave turned rant review that I'll have linked above, and I'm gonna put terrible. Yeah, I'm not gonna go into it anymore. If you know, you know, just wasn't for me. I don't recommend it. Just pick up the other two before I let go, or This Could Be Us by Kennedy Ryan, and just act like this one doesn't exist. I am still gonna give my girl a chance, so let me know in the comments below what I should start with. I think I'm thinking about Real or the Hoop series or some of the backlist books, but yeah, it was just okay. Then I read another romance by one of my favorite authors, Akwaeke Emezi. As I say, Akwaeke Emezi can do no wrong. And this is You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty. I'm gonna put this in fantastic, but yeah, I'm gonna put it at the bottom. Very, very messy. Main character, her husband unexpectedly passed away about 5 years ago, so now she's kind of ready to get back into the scene. She meets this really great guy. You know, they're gonna go off, and she's gonna meet his parents and all these things. But however, it gets really messy because when she meets the partner's father, they have immense chemistry, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. Very great. Akwaeke Emezi can do no wrong. Then I listened to The Wager by David Grann, which is a shipwreck story. It says a tale of shipwreck, mutiny, and murder. Listened to it on audiobook with my husband as we were doing a country road trip. And I'm gonna put a good time, but not memorable. And I'm gonna put that above full disclosure there. It was fine. It was great. When we were in the car, you know, we were like, as soon as we get in the car, it's like, put it on, put it on, put it on. But it started to get a little bit redundant. And then looking back, I read this in June for our summer road trip, and I don't remember a bunch about it. So it's fine. Very kind of niche topic, but good enough time, but not memorable. Next up, we have Rage by Stephen King, which is about someone who brings a gun to school. It's actually been banned. Stephen King, or not banned, but it's not published anymore or printed anymore because of Stephen King himself after the Columbine shooting happened. I'm gonna put, ooh, I don't know. I'm gonna put this in a good time but not memorable, and I'm gonna put it right under Salem's Lot. I'm gonna leave it there and not say much more because I will have specific Stephen King ranking videos coming out this year, so just stay tuned for that. But just know it's right below Salem's Lot for me. All right, next up we have Shiver by Junji Ito, and of course that's gonna go up into all-time favorites. Yeah, I think it could go right there. If you know, he's a horror writer. This is a short story collection, which was great. A lot of them were 5 stars. Pick up Junji Ito if you haven't yet. Okay, we have The Memory Police by Yoko Agawa. I really liked this. I think I might have given it 5 stars, but it's not quite there for my all-time favorites yet. So I'm gonna put it at the very beginning of Fantastic Books. This is a story of, we follow our unnamed main character who is in this world where things just start to disappear because of the memory police. So it starts off with little things like ribbons. So everyone has to turn in all of these ribbons and nobody talks about ribbons again. And it's kind of like slowly removed from people's brains that it existed, but it starts to escalate. And I'm gonna leave it at that. Very intriguing writing. This is one that I sat on and talked about a good book club read. I would like to reread this one, and maybe after a reread it'll be an all-time favorite, but I need a little bit more time with it. But definitely fantastic, definitely recommend. Alrighty, we have King of Ashes by S.A. Cosby. A great mystery thriller. S.A. Cosby is becoming one of my favorite thriller writers. Fantastic read. Oh, I'm gonna put this even above Catching Fire. It was great. I don't even want to say anything about this book. I have a short that's listed that I'll have above and below that goes into detail of why I really liked that book. But yeah, fantastic. I know it's been really, really popular in 2025, but it's totally worth the hype. Pick it up if you haven't. Okay, we have a reread here. You'll Never Believe What Happened to Lacey by Amber Ruffin and Lacey Lamar. This is one of my all-time favorites. Ooh, where does this go? I'm gonna put it at the end here. They basically tell crazy stories about racism. So they tell a story about Lacey, one of the sisters who works in like corporate America, and just all of the subtle racist microaggressions that happen to her in the workplace. And I don't know, it's a funny book, but also very serious. I can relate to it very, very well. Next up, we had one of my top reads of the year, which is Everything is Tuberculosis by John Green. This one is an all-time favorite as well. Look at this list up here. This was a great reading year for me. Everything is Tuberculosis was fantastic. I can't wait to reread it. I'm gonna put it, yeah, underneath When the Wolf Comes Home. John Green has become fascinated with tuberculosis, and basically he explains like the history of tuberculosis, how tuberculosis has affected our lives for generations and generations, and how in poverty-worn countries, even though we have a cure for tuberculosis, the access in those countries, it's not there for the cure. So millions of people are dying from a curable disease. You know, I'll leave it there. I'm glad that John Green has brought this to everyone's attention, and yeah, I can't wait to reread it. The way that he writes it and narrates it, I listened to the audiobook, he narrates it himself. Fantastic read. Yeah, it's really good. Hell Followed With Us by Andrew Joseph White. I'm gonna put this in a good time, but not memorable. Frankly, because I don't remember much. I know that we follow a trans main character in this post-apocalyptic world who becomes this creature, and that's it. I remember I liked the friendship in this book a lot, but yeah, unfortunately, not memorable for me. I think that if I would have read this when I was a young adult, because this is a young adult novel, maybe it would have stuck out to me a little bit more and meant a lot more to me. So I do recommend it for definitely young adult, like high schoolers. But just for me personally, I'm putting it in the middle tier. Next up, we have The World Record Book of of Racist Stories by Amber Ruffin and Lacey Lamar. So when I reread You'll Never Believe What Happened to Lacey, I realized that they had another book that came out. And this one I didn't like as much. I'm gonna put a good time but not memorable. And I'm gonna put it all the way at the end. It was fine. This one wasn't just set with Lacey. It was talking about their family overall and all of their stories of microaggressions throughout their lives. And it was fine. I just think that the first book was a lot better. I think it was just kind of like a money grab at that point. I think they could have just stuck with the first one. If you're still interested in a quick listen, you know, it's funny. But yeah, the first one is the one that I really, really recommend. Alrighty, then we have Tananarive. If you don't know, my favorite read of 2024 was The Reformatory, and absolutely loved it. That was my first book by Tananarive. And this is my second book that I've read, which is The Good House. And I'm gonna put this in Fantastic Books very much at the beginning. I like The Reformatory a bit more. I read this earlier, well, not super early in the year, but it's been a few months, and some of the details are a little lost in my brain, so that's why I can't say it's an all-time favorite. The writing is exceptional. The way that she flows and talks about like generational trauma is immaculate. I just think it was a little long for my liking, but I'll leave it at that. I can't wait to pick up another Tananarive soon. Next up is The Girls Who Grew Big by Layla Motley. And surprising to me, because I did not like Nightcrawling very much, which was her debut, but I'm glad I gave her a second chance because this is in Fantastic Books, and I think this is gonna go right under The Good House. We follow our main character who gets pregnant in high school. Her parents are like, absolutely not. You're gonna go to Florida with your grandma and you're gonna have this baby, but you're gonna give it to somebody else and you're gonna come back and focus on college like, you know, like nothing happened. And she meets this group of other teenage moms or pregnant teenagers who just rely on each other during these hard times. And it was a very moving book. I loved it a lot. Alrighty, then we have Gaio by Junji Ito, another novel. This isn't a short story collection. Manga. It's a full story. I don't like to say anything about these stories because it's best just to go in blind, but I love this one. All-time favorite. I'm gonna put it right above Shiver. Yeah, it's awesome. Wow, look at all the all-time favorites. That's great. Alrighty. Then we have a short novella called A Short Stay in Hell by Stephen L. Peck. One of my all-time favorites. Where am I gonna put this? I think I'm gonna put this right above The Trees. This novella is insanely memorable. It basically talks about what infinity is, what it fucks with your head in terms of what time means. And I'm just gonna leave it at that. I have other videos linked that I go into a little bit more detail about it, but definitely pick it up. It's only like 100 pages, and yeah, it's fantastic. It's gonna stick with me for the rest of my life, and that's no exaggeration. Then I picked up One Crazy Summer by Rita Williams Garcia, which is, I believe, a middle grade. It's about this group of girls who, for some reason, were living with their grandparents, but then their mom comes back into their life and they spend the summer with their mom, who is a part of the Black Panther movement. And they spend their summer going to this school or like a daycare center that is ran by the not Black Lives Matter. I mean, all kind of similar stuff, but Black Panthers. It was a good time, but not memorable. Where am I gonna put this? I'm gonna put it right above Hell Followed With Us. It was fine. I think it's a trilogy or it's a part of a series, and I haven't moved on with it. I think it's great to read for middle grade and young adult, but it just didn't stick out to me as much as a 31-year-old. But yeah, recommend it. Not memorable, totally fine. Then I read or reread The Long Walk by Stephen King in order to prepare myself for the movie that came out in 2025. And I actually did a comparison, book to movie adaptation, whole long video that I'll have linked above and below. And I'm gonna put that in Fantastic. Oh, I don't know. I'm gonna put it in Fantastic at the very beginning. It's about a group of boys in this kind of dystopian world where there's this competition where all of the boys start, there's 100 boys, they start and they walk, and they have so many warnings if they fall below a certain mile per hour. And once they hit that third warning, then they are executed on the spot. And the winner is the last boy that can stand. So yeah, great story. Controversial take on the next one. We have Piranesi by Susanna Clark. I don't know where to put this because I don't want to say wouldn't recommend, because this is a book that I really did not enjoy my reading, like my time reading this story. It was hard to get into. It was very repetitive. However, after reading this book and closing the book and being finished, I still think about the concepts in this book more than I would have thought. So I guess I'm going to put it in a good time, but not memorable. And I'm going to put it like right in the middle. I don't know. There's not much to say about this without giving it away. Yeah, watch other people's reviews that have a better say about this. I'm still conflicted. I feel like maybe I should just reread it and see, because it is sticking with me, but I don't know. I have a weird, complicated relationship, so we're just gonna throw that in the middle somewhere. All right, next up, I read Semi-Well-Adjusted Despite Literally Everything by Allison Stoner. This is Allison Stoner's memoir. If you don't know, Allison Stoner was in like the Cheaper by the Dozen movies, Step Up. She was a little girl in the Missy Elliott Work It video. I don't know, I grew up with her. You know, I liked to watch her when I was a kid, and I wanted to kind of just like check in because I didn't know where she was. And this is a sad story. It's very reminiscent of I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. So yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. Not an all-time favorite. I'm gonna put it. I'm just gonna put it at the end here. Yeah. If you're interested in Allison Stoner, I think it's worth it. If you're interested in just childhood stars or fans from the 90s, yeah, she goes into quite a bit of detail about her experience, which is traumatic. Next up, we have Blood Over Bright Haven by M.L. Wang. I don't know where to put this. I feel like I can't put it in a good time but not memorable, because I do remember it. I just had problems with the fact that some of the feminist themes were a little bit too on the nose. So I'm gonna put this at Fantastic Books, but right at the end here. Yeah, we're following our main character, Siona, who is not very likable, but it's intentional. So it's kind of a hard thing to wrap your head around, or it's hard for me to understand how I feel about this book, because she was really annoying, but like I said, it was intentional. She is trying to become a high mage. She's a woman. This doesn't ever happen, but she passes, and, you know, they're kind of giving her shit for it, and she discovers these secrets of what the high mages are doing and kind of blows shit up. Yeah, it was a really good book. I think about the concepts, and also the setting of this was very immersive. Like, when I was in this book, I was in this fantastical world 100%. The writing was just a little elementary for me, but fantastic book, definitely recommend it. We're gonna leave it there. Next up, we have Julie Chan is Dead by Leanne Zhang. I am going to put this in fantastic, just under Blood Over Bright Haven. So this book, we follow a girl who is a twin. I don't remember their name, sorry. But her twin, she doesn't really know. They were kind of estranged. They were separated at birth, I believe, and her twin actually was a big, famous influencer, like beauty influencer, and she dies. So then our main character that we follow decides to take over her dead twin's life. And she meets like the influencer friends and goes on this trip, and it becomes kind of culty, fever dreamy, interesting. It was a fun time. If you're interested, definitely pick it up. I only rated it like 4 stars. Not my absolute favorite, but definitely a great read. I can't wait to read more by Leanne Zhang. Then I have Ice Planet Barbarians here, which I read for my book club, and I'm gonna put this in wouldn't recommend. Yeah, it's about this woman who goes to this blue planet and falls in love with these giant blue aliens. A lot of smut. It was fine when I read it, but I wouldn't recommend it. It wasn't anything memorable. Black Genius, Essays on an American Legacy by Trey Johnson. This one's tough. I'm gonna put this in a good time, but not memorable. I think that the premise of this could have been done better, so it left me feeling a little lackluster. I think that he could have dove deeper into some of these essays about what it means to be a black genius in America and how a lot of black geniuses aren't given the credit that they're due. I think there was a little bit too much of his personal life in there, which I didn't really know it was going to be as much memoir instead of essays. So, yeah, it was fine. Don't remember much about it. I was sad about it. I'll definitely pick up more by Trey Johnson, but it wasn't high up on my list of reads this year. Then I read Small Places, I always do that. Small Spaces by Catherine Arden. It was fine, not memorable. It's another middle grade. Maybe I just need to stop reading middle grade. I don't know. I feel like once in a while, like very once in a blue moon, a middle grade will hit me in my feels. Like Amari and the Night Brothers was great. And sometimes I chase that nostalgic feeling, but Small Spaces just didn't really do it for me. It was just okay. Yeah, I'm gonna put it at the end. I would recommend it for younger crowds, but wouldn't recommend it for anyone that's like 35, my age. All right, then I have Incidents Around the House by Josh Mallerman. This is terrible. I'm gonna put this right above Girl Interrupted. No, we're gonna adjust this, I forgot. We're gonna put No Exit very at the bottom. There we go. Incidents Around the House can fit right there. This is supposed to be a really scary book. We follow a child perspective, and this child can see this other entity called Other Mommy that no one else can see, and Other Mommy constantly is asking, can I have your heart? Can I have your heart? Sounds like it'd be scary. Definitely wasn't scary. Writing was terrible. I will not be reading anything else by Josh Mallerman. We'll just leave it at that. Then I have Jackal by Aaron E. Adams. And unfortunately, when I read this, I gave it 5 stars. And I think that the author's note at the end, which explains why she wrote this book about missing girls, missing black girls at that, was important. And I think that that made me really like the book. So I was like, oh, this is 4.5 stars. But as a few months have gone by, I couldn't tell you much about this book. So I'm going to say it was a good time, but not memorable. And I'm going to put it right above the In-Between Bookstore. Yeah, I don't know. There's a town where these black girls have gone missing for decades, and there's time jumps in this book, which are fascinating. It ramps up at the end. At the beginning, it's kind of slow, but then it kind of has this propelling motion that gets going, and at the end the twist was just okay. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Then I read The Stepford Wives by Ear 11, which is my first Ear 11, and shocking to me, it is an all-time favorite, and this is gonna go right above The Trees. We follow our main character, a husband and wife who move to Stepford. And when they get there, everything seems a little too perfect. And the main character, Joanna, is trying to figure out why. And it gets weird. I'm going to leave it at that. Very good. All-time favorite. I liked it so much that then I picked up Rosemary's Baby next. And it was just okay. I'm going to say it was a fantastic book, but I'm going to put it very at the end. I really liked the movie adaptation, and I had seen it before reading the book. So that might adjust my rating, because I knew what to expect. Writing was still great. I still recommend it. It's a fantastic book. But yeah, not as great as Stepford Wives in my opinion. Then I read Immaculate Conception by Ling Ling Wong, and I am going to put this in fantastic. It was fantastic, and I'm going to put it just under King of Ashes, I believe. This one's a hard one to explain because there are multiple things that are explained in this book, and I think that's why it's not an all-time favorite, because Ling Ling Wong just put way too much in this book, I think. Part of this book is about 2 artist friends that are very infatuated with each other and each other's art. It talks about the importance of art, like how it's hard for people who are artists to separate themselves from their art. It talks about AI art. There's another aspect of this that's kind of sci-fi related, where we talk about this thing called the scaffold, where you can implant this thing into your brain and basically take some of someone you love's grief so that you can relieve that barrier for them, but also get to understand them deeper. There's a pregnancy thing in here, as you can tell by the title, Immaculate Conception. I don't know, there was a lot going on. Very, very good writing, but not quite in the all-time favorites. I can't wait for something else that Ling Ling Wang has put out. I've read Natural Beauty. I did like Immaculate Conception more than that one, so it just seems like it's getting better and better from there. So yeah, very good. Okay, sorry, I had to adjust my camera because the time was starting to run out. All right, we're getting to the end. So we're at Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaughey. This was such a good book. Funny enough, it didn't get into like my top 5, I don't believe, but it was worth it. I'm gonna put it in fantastic, but I'm gonna put it all the way at the beginning. Not quite an all-time favorite for me, at least not yet. We'll see. I read it closer to the end of the year, as you can see, but it was great. A woman washes up in Antarctica and she's alive, and there's a family that lives there, very isolated, and the story goes from there. The interconnectedness of their relationship and the bonds that they form and the mystery element of it was great. The writing was insanely immersive. I can't wait to pick something else up by Charlotte McConaughey. Then I have The House of My Mother by Sherry Frankie. This is a heavy memoir. I was very impressed by Sherry Frankie's writing because she's only in her 20s, I think early 20s, and she recounts the story of her mother. And the terrible things that her and her counterpart did to her and her siblings. They were part of this big YouTube channel called 8 Passengers, I believe, or 9 Passengers, family vloggers, when really terrible stuff was happening behind the scenes. And yeah, really, really great. I don't think I said. I put it in fantastic books. Where am I gonna put this? It's hard with nonfiction. I'm gonna put it just under Wild Dark Shore. Yeah, very good. Then, if that wasn't tough enough of a read, I decided to pick up Nobody's Girl by Virginia Roberts Giuffre, who is the most outspoken victim of Epstein and Maxwell and the sex trafficking ring. A lot of other terrible things happened to this woman, and unfortunately, when this book was released in 2025, I think a little bit before the release, she actually took her life. So, insanely heavy read, very imperative read, all-time favorite read. It's going right under recitative for me. If you can stomach it, pick it up. It's imperative for people to hear her story. Yeah, wild. Then I started to read books for the Goodreads Choice Awards, horror finalist, and I have Bat Eater and Other Names by Cora Zing, by Kylie Lee Baker. I'm not gonna say much about it because that video is gonna come out at the end of this month or beginning of February. I'm just gonna put them in the category. I'm gonna put this in fantastic, and I'm gonna put it right above The Eyes Are the Best Part. That's all I'm gonna say about that book. Then I read Earthlings by Sayaka Murata. This was a weird as fuck book. Sorry for my language, but I would not recommend this book. Yeah, I'm gonna put it at the very beginning. Weird, I can't really say much about it because it would be spoilers, but it's very, very taboo. Check your trigger warnings. That's all I can say. The cover is not cute. Like the cover is a cute cover, but that is not. This book is crazy. Then I read The Lamb by Lucy Rose, which is a story about cannibals, but it was one of the most beautiful books I ever read. Sounds weird. That's all I'm gonna say about it here. All-time favorite. I'm gonna put it right underneath Nobody's Girl. Fantastic. Then I read The Possession of Alba Diaz by Isabel Cañas. It's a possession story, but I feel like it just wasn't memorable, unfortunately. I'm gonna put it in a good time, but not memorable, and I'm gonna put it right under Jackal. Yeah, kind of disappointing. Stay tuned for my Goodreads video or vlog to get more in-depth thoughts about that book. And then the last book that I read was The Scammer by Tiffany D. Jackson. And I'm gonna put that in a good time, but not memorable, but pretty high up. I'm gonna put it under Rest Stop. We follow our main character who decides to go to a HBCU because she comes from kind of a whitewashed family and wanted to get immersed into Black culture. She's having a good time with her roommates, and all of a sudden one of her suite mates asks if her brother, who just recently got out of prison, can stay with them, crash there for a couple days, and it turns into weeks, months, and there's a culty aspect about this book as well. The twist at the end will get you. You think that you know the twist and you can guess the twist, but then there's a twist on top of the twist. There's like 3 twists on top of the twist, and it had my jaw on the floor. So yeah, it was good, but not my favorite Tiffany D. Jackson. So here we go. A ton of all-time favorites up here. A lot of fantastic books. This is what you want to see. You don't want a bunch on the bottom, you know? So yeah, there's my list. All right, I apologize for the abrupt cut, but I realized that I've been sitting on my legs for about an hour filming this video, and I needed to get up and stretch. But thanks for sticking around if you've made it to the end. I had a lot of fun with my first ever tier ranking video. I loved the books that I read in 2025. It was a great reading year. I hope that 2026 is just as good, if not better. As always, if you like what you saw here, please subscribe. It really helps me out. And let's chat in the comments until my next upload. Talk to y'all soon. Bye.